The day this video goes up, we are either in or approaching early June, which means there are only a few weeks left of spring, which means that we are once again in for a white boy summer. Ever since Chet Hanks made the declaration half a decade ago, the Caucasian male has been out in full force for those 3 months of the year. For as everyone knows, the white boy summer always follows the Arab Spring. In an attempt to make preparations for something akin to a hurricane, a force of nature, I'd like to take a look at one of our prospects as to who the white boy summer will be most embodied in. In times of great crisis, the Mayoniverse at large selects an avatar to act as its agent on Earth. The universe deciding who the next great white boy will be comes with a lot of the same weight that picking a new pope does. The main difference being that with the pope, you are always picking a white boy, but it's not technically written in the rules that you absolutely have to. Whereas the white boy avatar is very specific about the allowed amount of melanin a candidate can have. I am disqualified. Hi again, guys, and the consensus pick for white boy of the year seems like one that has been building up for many years prior up to this point. A chosen Mayo Messiah damn near written in the stars, I of course mean Timothee Chalamet. His may not be the only white boy run we cover this year, feel free to leave suggestions below, but he is by far the front runner, and many pundits like myself have taken notice of his likely trajectory. So today I'd like to run through his bona fides and make an argument for his candidacy. If you enjoy this video, this card at the end will take you to another one like it. Also, be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss an upload. Aesthetically, the chromosomes needed to create a generational white boy are obvious. Chalamet's a handsome guy that past generations of white boy scholars may have described as the ideal it boy, but lasting appeal goes further than the surface. Otherwise, we might still be talking about Nash Greer. What really speaks volumes about Timothee Chalamet is the volumes he speaks using so few words. From Clickhole, don't check when I tell you that this is definitely not a satirical news publication. It's not great, but sometimes it's the only way to get an extra 30 minutes, said Timothee Chalamet on the topic of threatening to kill himself so his mom lets him play Roblox a little longer. He's based already. Some have compared Chalamet to great white sharks of the past, often described as steadily becoming Jack Nicholson with every passing Knicks game. Some have called him the Princess Diana of our time, while at the same time expressing fears of what enjoying such a universal love from the greater populace, while at the same time being a part of a famous yet controversial celebrity family, and what these combined circumstances might do to him and to us as onlookers at large as time passes. These are two very different points of comparison, but to those in the know, neither are ridiculous to say. Many people have very different reasons for predicting Timothee Chalamet as MVP white boy of 2025, and all of these combined paints a picture of how unparalleled of a complete package this guy is. It feels like everybody I talk to has a different moment where they found out a new thing or combination of things that made Chalamet undeniable to them personally. And we'll be covering those, but for many, the first brick was laid by his most base and obvious feature, his incredible ability as an actor. Not a lot of people know he was in Interstellar as one of Matthew McConaughey's chud sons in that movie, but Chalamet has steadily worked his way up the ranks until he was leading his own big-budget films. The first one you probably recognized was Doom, and sure, Zendaya was doing a decent amount of the brand name promo for that film, but for most people, after watching that first movie, it was hard not to say, man, that fucking ripped. Our hearts grew 3 sizes for Chalamet that day, and by the time Dune Part 2 came around, it felt like pure electricity in your veins to see him really be Lisan Al-Gaib. It's been almost maddening to not have Dune Messiah in our hands right now. That's the third movie, by the way. Coming soon. In between his acting and his exploits outside of that, which, like I said, we'll get to, seeing this guy stack up win after win has caused some people to even fall into hysterics.
Oh, look at me, I'm Timothee Chalamet, I'm so hot and handsome and wildly successful, and I also know ball and I'm cool as fuck. Oh, look at me, I'm Bob Dylan and Willy Wonka and Lisa Gabe and Beautiful Boy was in... I'm over it, dude. Get that shit out of my face.
Chalamet was in this Willy Wonka movie that is not nearly his most praised or talked about role. When it was initially announced, many people wrote it off as another victim of the wave of old IP the Hollywood machine exhumed the corpses of in order to release remakes of as well. And while it definitely was that, it also had the unique privilege of being one of the only movies of its kind that wasn't critically panned as dog shit, with both reviewers and audience members thinking it stands on its own as a reimagining of a story that has already been successfully reimagined before. The last guy to even give Wonka a shot was prime Johnny Depp. Those are not small shoes to step into, and it's even harder to pull that off in the film industry of today. And Chalamet was able to walk away from it, able to notch another feather in his cap with it. Whether because of his eye for scripts, so he never picks a dud, just being very selective with the roles he chooses to play, or through sheer force of personality, managing to pull it out to the other side. As this fella's profile grew, Chalamet's early work started to make a resurgence, with such classics as A Now Chop coming back up. Whether to haunt him or to bless him is up to the viewer's interpretation.
Hey, now chop! Hey, now chop! Now chop!
As he included daring live performance one-liners like this.
Feel good music, bringing it back. What's wrong with that kid? Does he think that he's black? Chop!
He definitely took a chance deciding to say that, man. I have to respect it, even if I don't agree. My personal come to Lisan Al-Gaib moment where I was like, okay, I see you, Timmy, was when I found out he was a gamer as a kid. And I don't mean like the said some slurs on Xbox Live type of gamer. I mean, he's the sort of gamer I aspired to have the technical know-how to be like as a 12-year-old, but never put in the work to obtain. You see, Timmy Chalamet used to have a YouTube channel called Modded Controller 360, where he showed off his custom modded Xbox 360 controller. Look at the boxes in the back and the chair behind me. Take a guess as to whether we might have had something in common growing up.
YouTube, this is Modded Controller 360 with the Controller of the Week.
And you'll see like random stuff like this from Timmy's past pop up from time to time. The different bits have become fodder for fan edits and in-jokes to make as the lore for Timothee Chalamet's character grows. It only pops up in a way where he has to interact with a piece of lore that he didn't tell us about himself every now and then, but even when that happens, I do appreciate how good of a sport he seems to be about it. For example, Jeff Keighley, arguably the designated white boy of gaming, got him to present the Game of the Year award a few years back while introducing him using exactly none of the things he's most famous for, which I can only assume Timothy let happen.
Well, now to present Game of the Year from the upcoming films Wonka and Dune Part 2, please welcome YouTuber Modded Controller 360.
You gotta respect it. Just letting his big upcoming projects be promoted under a name he came up with when he was probably 12. That is how every YouTuber who made their channel name as a child and is now stuck with it as their brand feels when they get introduced anywhere. I'm one of the lucky ones. Outside of that, though, for people who have better social lives and connections to their community through the common joy of a collective activity, some people were endeared to Chalamet through his elite levels of literal ball knowledge. I feel like a lot of people really first noticed this when he was a guest host on a college game day panel. And even if you don't know anything about American football, it's very easy to tell that Timothy absolutely fucking does, because he's not a nerd like you.
I'm going Jackson State, 8 wins in a row, 11 all-conference players. This should be a comfortable, easy win for them.
Breaking it down.
No. This guy's a great actor. So these teams are 2-2 in the last 4 matchups. The Red Hawks defense looks good, but I'm looking at 4th-year Bobcats quarterback Parker Navarro. 65% completion rates. I'm going underdog Bobcats here.
Actually, you know what? I take it back. He is a total nerd, and he's getting respect for that from everybody around him who just didn't expect him to come out swinging with game like that. Man, he's a great actor for knowing things. I don't know how correct his predictions ended up being, but does it really matter? The point is, he was engaging earnestly and passionately with an event he'd been invited to and about an activity he clearly has a personal affinity for and keeps up with. And that's one thing you realize is very consistent about Chalamet, where if you talk to him about something he enjoys thoroughly enough, you'll realize he knows his shit about it, and he looks good the whole time he talks about it. I'm not just talking about the jawline here. Pretty much any time you see him out and about, whether it's through paparazzi photos catching him on the street, or the celebrity camera shots of him courtside at Knicks games, where he is almost always with Kylie Jenner, he is always just rocking some shit. I'm realizing I glossed over an important part there. Timothee Chalamet and Kylie Jenner have been publicly associated as an epic awesome sauce power couple for a while now, and it's genuinely hard to say who is better dressed when you see them out and about. Chalamet generally just has that shit on whenever you see him, and there's a heated debate as to whether he or Kylie is the catch in that relationship. Being the catch isn't really what being in a relationship with someone you actually love is about, but the point stands for public discourse. Kylie Jenner is considered by many to be one of the most beautiful women currently walking the earth, and even for those who kind of wish they had what Timothy has, it's hard to even be outright jealous or scornful of the guy, because even to folk who wish they were in his shoes, he seems like an actually chill guy to hang around who it's hard to wish ill on. Back to the fits though, I read a tweet that I found myself just nodding in agreement with because I really couldn't have phrased it better myself, and it was a comparison to another all-time great white boy. We We ain't seen a white boy with this much sauce since '06 Timberlake, and that is for true. And it's kind of incredible how about ball he is, whether that's literal or as a euphemism. You had randoms not even directly interacting with Timothee Chalamet trying to G-check his knowledge, saying shit like, you think Chalamet has ever heard of the name Lou Amundsen? Doubt it. Just for another random to pull a picture of Chalamet when he was like fucking 11, I guess, chasing down tickets to see a game of the guy he had supposedly never heard of. Haha, the contest is over. Tim Chalamet is the winner. Found us at Grand Central. Congrats, Tim. See you Friday at the game. And right after that, just to get an unprompted compliment and acknowledgement from Ben Stiller on how he is, quote, a real one afterwards. He's just winning over and over again, and he's legit just doing it by being into the shit he's autistic about. For Christ's sake, the motherfucker skipped the Met Gala, which, again, his incredibly famous and iconic girlfriend Kylie Jenner attended. Why did he skip it? So he could stay home and watch basketball with his homies on an iPad. And apparently Kylie Jenner has said she only ever gets laid if the Knicks win, so she knows that this shit isn't no joke. The type of love and understanding that these two seem to share is the type of love I hope is real and that actually lasts. I kinda need this. And if all of the things I just said weren't enough, would you believe that that was all just build up to the part of this video I wanted to talk about the most? Dune Parts 1 and 2 were the movies I first saw Tim in that really spoke for themselves as to his skills as an actor. Didn't know much about the guy, just saw his performance and I'm like, wow, good stuff, man. And while I haven't seen this other movie myself, it was in the promo in the release of his most recent leading role as Bob Dylan in the biopic A Complete Unknown that Timothee Chalamet started asserting himself as someone with just elite levels of game in so many arenas that it's hard not to appreciate. The amount of work he did to raise his stock in just this one rollout and the amount of time he pulled it off may never again be replicated. From what I understand, Chalamet was very hands-on with how he picked his press appearances for this role. He did what I assume is the required press circuit that you always see interview clips of, with like the poster of the movie that they're promoting in like the background. Maybe a clip will show up on your timeline if there's a funny interaction between cast members, or if an interviewer asks something out of pocket that gets an actor usually bored with these types of interviews to react with an ounce of emotion. But one of the first things I saw Timothee Chalamet on while promoting A Complete Unknown was his appearance on Theo Von's podcast this past weekend. Apparently, he personally asked to book that show because he was an active listener and wanted to engage with media he already fucks with. To me, the listening experience made for a much more candid interview setting with all the love in my heart I have for the person who does the Watch Mojo countdown lists. Theo Von just makes a much more compelling personality than your standard Hollywood interviewer. The podcast itself is an hour and a half of mostly uncut, candid conversation. It's a relatively casual setting where he gets to dive into his actual process as a creative and an actor. He talked about how he chooses his roles he wants to play and how picky he can get with it.
This is too weird a lifestyle to be
nonchalant about.
Yeah, why do this?
Yeah.
If you're not going to go as hard as possible.
And it's shit like that I really admire about the guy. He's like very frank despite his station in life, and while I am no Timothee Chalamet, I do like to think I'm a creative of some kind, and getting to do what I love as a living is one of the greatest privileges I think you can get in life. I know I do stupid YouTube pooey videos half the time, but I love doing it, and I feel like I'm wasting the opportunity I'm given if I don't pursue the thing I love to the fullest I'm able. I hope my passion for admittedly stupid shit comes through to you guys, especially because you're the reason I get to do this, and I hope I'm not letting you down in my creative pursuit. So to see a guy like Chalamet go like, I want this shit bad, and I want to prove I earned it even if getting here was down to some luck, doing stuff like this is too absurd to not take it by the reins. Like, shit like that really resonates with me. After all, Timothee Chalamet is literally me for real. But what I view as the cornerstone of Timothee Chalamet's all-time white boy run, and my personal favorite piece of media involving him, both from the context of it existing and the information gleaned from it itself, has to be Timothee Chalamet's interview with Nardwuar. It's another one of these interviews I'm pretty sure Chalamet personally asked to set up, but even if he didn't, it's pretty clear that he has watched Nardwuar in the past and that he likes his stuff.
Thank you, Nardwuar, for having me in.
Thank you.
You are so complete. So complete, like reading.
He started humming the Nardwuar opening theme when that microphone wasn't even pointed at him. He knows that shit by heart. I watched that whole thing while I was doing laundry. Yes, I know how to do laundry. And if you are at all interested in an actor's creative process, or the creative process at all, it's really fucking interesting. Timothy has said on multiple occasions how much of an honor he viewed playing Bob Dylan, and also spoke on the depths he goes to with really any role he takes. But with this one specifically, whether it was impassioned research for the role, a genuine love for Bob as a musician, or a mix of both, the level of knowledge Chalamet displays for almost an hour while talking with Nardwuar shows just how much dedication he had to not just embodying the man he's portraying, but also just general music knowledge. He's more than likely better versed on this shit than me, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's just that Dylan was championed by the folk movement. You know, he was supposed to be their hero. And so the other electric players up there, a couple theories about this. Some people feel like he turned their back on the folk community. Some people said it was just mixed terribly. So you're in the front row and your ears were getting...
There was loudness, though, at that fest.
There was loudness, but I don't think he allowed a rehearsal. So
on top of that, Chalamet performed his own renditions of all the Bob Dylan songs featured in A Complete Unknown, and in a pretty sick plug to show that he was doing this for real, he pulled double duty on Saturday Night Live, being both the host of that night's show and the musical guest, an accolade that less than 50 people have ever achieved in the show's over 50-year history, averaging less than one a year. And usually that's from a musician hosting the show while doing the musical act. From what I've read, it's much rare to have someone who is an actor or other form of entertainer by trade step into the musical guest role while they are hosting. And honestly, my favorite fucking poll from that interview might be finding out that Timothee Chalamet, as a college student at NYU, got knighted by Lil B, the bass god, and he credits his acting career as taking off only after that event.
Lil B is like a hugely formative artist in my life and career. He dropped an album called I'm Gay, ambiguous about his sexuality or the meaning of the album, and I was just inspired from the sense that, wow, this guy's just doing whatever the fuck he wants.
You met him at school?
I met him at NYU. I bribed a kid to give me his ticket, front row to the right. I raised my hand. I got called on by him. Told him I was going to ask out a crush. He invited me on stage and he knighted me. He said that boy's hand's been blessed, and from there my acting career took off. You know?
Thank you, bass god.
Footage of this historical moment luckily exists. It's like this guy was handcrafted in a lab to have a ridiculously interesting life story that a crazy documentary would be made about later, or even his own biopic about him down the line. For context, if you don't know Lil B the bass god, shame on you. But fun fact, he literally invented the term bass. He is one of, if not the most influential rapper in his own way to ever exist. There will never be another one like him, and if there is, it won't be because they're like Lil B, it'll be because they're revolutionary in a way we just can't conceive of right now. And in ways it's really hard to explain, Lil B is responsible for the internet as you and I know it today. The fact Timothy has the appropriate amount of reverence for him is cool enough on its own, but getting the dude's blessing in person, that's insane. I also thought it was based when in the section of the interview where Nardwuar and Chalamet go around the record store picking up albums for Timmy Tim to buy, he decided to pick up both Brat and Blonde. It's just a great watch all around. I highly recommend it. And before we continue, a side note on the musical aspect of this, if I didn't think he was any cooler, the last thing I expected in the lead up to the Super Bowl halftime performance with Kendrick Lamar was a two-part interview of Timothee Chalamet hanging out with K-Dot, where you can tell in their interactions Timothy is clearly a longtime fan who's excited to be there. That motherfucker was sat in K-Dot's personal GNX, rapping the Heart Part 2 word for word with him.
Rapping in the studio, emotional blue would go right down, freestyle, right down, whatever. Still come up clever. I just need to free my thoughts, so Lord knows I know better. But I ain't perfect. I ain't seen too many churches that know them testing.
That song came out in 2010. Chalamet is by far a more diehard Kendrick fan than me, or at least a longer running one. And somehow I'm happy for him instead of molding over it. Do you know how hard it is for me to not just wish all the good things that happened to you happened to me instead? For the conclusion of my argument of Timothee Chalamet as arguable greatest white boy of all time, not necessarily my pick, but still the argument I'm making right now. I might make arguments for other folk in the future. Honestly, this whole thing is just an excuse to appreciate people I think are doing cool shit. I'd like to play an excerpt of Timothee Chalamet's acceptance speech at the Screen Actors Guild Award for Male Actor in a Leading Role in a Motion Picture, which he won for his performance as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. This one movie, even if you haven't seen it, has done a lot for his image.
I know the classiest thing would be to downplay the effort that went into this role and how much this means to me, but the truth is this was 5.5 years of my life. Poured everything I had into playing this incomparable artist, Mr. Bob Dylan, and it was the honor of a lifetime. playing him. But the truth is, I'm really in pursuit of greatness. I know people don't usually talk like that, but I want to be one of the greats. I'm inspired by the greats. I'm inspired by the greats here tonight. I'm as inspired by Daniel Day-Lewis, Marlon Brando, and Viola Davis as I am by Michael Jordan and Michael Phelps. This doesn't signify that, but it's a little more fuel. It's a little more ammo to keep going. Thank you so much.
To me, that is a very standout speech. I have no problems and, in fact, respect people who give thanks to the folk who they feel helped them get to where they are, people who use that spotlight to champion a cause they believe in. I think that's all great stuff. But I also deeply appreciate those who use the opportunity as a moment to reflect on themselves and their career, like where they came from, where they are right now, and where they want to go. Chalamet shouted at his mom, who he brought to the event with him in that speech. He paid homage to the man he was portraying in that film, but most strikingly to me, he staked his claim. After having watched that, I imagine it's kind of hard to deny the passion he clearly has for his craft. And as I hope I've shown in this video, pretty much anything Chalamet finds himself genuinely interested in it. He's clearly ambitious and has confidence in his own abilities, but he also has vision with where he wants to take them. I would personally say, in my own brain, he's on track to be one of the greats that he admires, but I think it's cooler that he openly sets his intentions on proving that to be the case. He shouted out those who he views as greats who inspire him and how he wants to be counted among them, not just actors, but all-time greats across any discipline. He's not on stage telling everyone to go suck it and that he's the hottest shit around, that he's already there. If he did, though, that is admittedly fun and based in its own right, but instead, Timothy was making a declaration of the work he wants to put in to prove that he has what it takes. Up to this point, for me, his performances have spoken for themselves. He clearly has it, but I find that focus of vision he's putting on display incredibly commendable and inspiring in a soy kind of way. I don't think I'll be doing stuff to that level anytime in my life. Maybe I will, maybe I won't, who knows. But it makes me want to excel at least in the things that I do in my life. I said do. And really, what more can you ask for in not just a white boy, but out of a human being in general? And that is my argument for Chalamet as White Boy of the Year. I'm excited to see whatever he does next, genuinely. I am so excited for Dune Messiah. Let me know in the comments if I got anything wrong, missed anything, or there are any epic Chalamet moments that made y'all like the guy, or make you hate him. I mean, man, fucking give me engagement. I like money. Let me know if you guys want more videos in this vein, and by that, I mean specifically if there are any all-time great white boy contenders, either in the modern day or in the past, that you think I should look into. That card I mentioned should be on screen. Be sure to drop a like and subscribe with notifications on so you never miss an upload. Anyways, this has been Kwite, and I'll see y'all next time.